Coming up here on Clippers Talk today, as I'm Adam Osland, we will get into Bradley Beal and CP3. Could both of them be coming to the Clippers? What's the update on two of the most sought after guys right now? Plus, salary cap news that just broke. Kind of a big deal. Welcome into Clippers Talk.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
Welcome in. Sunday night. It's not about Game of Thrones anymore. Khaleesi. It's not about Last of Us. I don't even know. I watched like season 1. It's not a zombie apocalypse. It's about Clippers talk. We've kind of been consistently doing this. Last week, I think we went on Monday, or maybe we did both Sunday and Monday, because on Monday, obviously, we had your free agency tracker spectacular. Free agency tracker spectacular. Say that 5 times fast. We had it for you Monday at 3 PM when free agency opened. We had the show going. We had the breaking news sounder we used, which I think was like a military horn when there was a big signing. Well, there weren't that many. There were some. Plus, we had Tomer Azarli on the show, a show that was 7 hours long, Justin Rousseau, and Big Shot Bob Flom. Everybody on at the same time, actually. It was pretty wild. It was extraordinary. It was, free agency on Clippers talk like we haven't done before because it just started like a year ago. So, someone said it took me 4 days to listen to the last podcast. Did I say 7 hours? I think 7.5 hours. If you guys wanna get on tonight and react to things that have transpired or things we have talked about, 877-520-1150, 877-520-1150 is the phone number here on Clippers Talk. If you want to get in here, but I do wanna update you on a couple different things as I have been waiting patiently. I went to Jurassic World Rebirth. Awful. Awful, awful, awful. I I can't tell you. You know what? I can sum it up very simply with my reaction to that Jurassic World movie.
That is one big pile of shit.
Yeah, they have to stop. They have to stop or find more creative ways to do these things. There was nothing original in it. It was just unnecessary, manufactured, unbelievable situations that felt like they've happened the last 3 movies. I can't believe this is still going on. But during that movie, I was hoping that there would be some breaking news so I could leave and get the hell out of there because
That is one big pile of shit.
it was. Sorry, Scarlett, but it was. I needed an excuse to leave. I knew it was going to be bad. I knew it was going to be bad. But I also was like, well, if I'm going to go see this movie, I didn't even see the last one, whatever the last one was with Chris Pratt. I heard that was horrible and his blue velociraptor dinosaur. I still couldn't help myself. I don't know. Somebody told me it was going to be rated R originally, and I was looking forward to that. A rated R Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. That's what I've been looking forward to. That's what I've wanted to see. I want like a 10-part miniseries on HBO of just a page by page verbatim visual of the book. Because the original book, yes, the book's always better. But look, the first Jurassic Park's great. They did the book justice. They did. They had to shrink it down, and they did the best job you could. It's probably one of my favorite films. But you give me a 10-part series on HBO, a 10-hour Jurassic Park miniseries, then we can fit in everything from that first book. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting way off here. I'm a little bit punchy, a little bit tired. So, I wanted some Clippers breaking news to occur then so I could leave Jurassic World Rebirth, which was so excruciatingly painful and just banal. It was awful. Um, didn't happen. Didn't happen Saturday when I went and saw a good movie to kind of, cleanse the palate. I went to the Jaws 50th anniversary at the Hollywood Bowl. So you had the orchestra there and everything. It was the perfect way to get back to basics and realize movies can still be good, even though it was 50 years ago. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Being outside, 17,000 people. And live orchestra. LA Philharmonics.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
He improvised that line, Roy Scheider. So then, now it's Sunday. I've had a successful overall, even Jurassic World Rebirth notwithstanding, holiday weekend, but I haven't gotten any Clippers news. I am desperately waiting for some Clippers news. I thought it would have occurred by now, but we still have some news because this just broke a little while ago. And I found this very interesting. So I retweeted it from Michael Scotto. I think I tried to get him on the show before. Senior NBA insider for Hoops Hype. I've been watching Hoops Hype for a long time. So deals became official today as that 7-team trade finally went through because I think they were waiting for the extension to kick in from Jalen Green and then everything else could fall into place. But the James Harden, first of all, the Brook Lopez deal is a team option for the second year. That is extremely favorable for your LA Clippers. The Brook Lopez deal is a team option for year 2. Those $9 million in year 2, that's up to the Clippers, whether or not they want to bring him back. Lakers out there giving player options to Jackson Hayes. Clippers giving team options to Brook Lopez. They not like us. They not like us. The new Drake song is so mid. Shame on you guys for hyping it up like that. Didn't miss anything. But then the news came out just about 40 minutes ago, and it really prompted this show or put a battery in my back, got me charged up, which a Drake song is better. Because Michael Scotto said this about the James Harden deals. We got the details finally about the partially guaranteed second year. Remember, the deal's for $81.5 million. It's a 2-year extension. The second year is a player option. So we're talking about just over 40 million because it's 39 million the first year. So just over 40 million the second year. That's only 13.3 million guaranteed. That's it. If James Harden opts in. So let me do a little bit of math here. What do the numbers say, Kawhi? Hey.
I don't know. What did the numbers say? Shit.
So let's first figure out how much he's owed in that second year exactly. So yes, it's $42 million. So 42, take off a 13.3, that's partially guaranteed to him. And if he opts in to that second year for the 26-27 season, the Clippers could get out of that deal paying James Harden a little over $13 million, meaning they would save almost $29 million. You combine that with the second year that's a team option for Brook Lopez for $9 million, Now we're talking about $38 million that the Clippers could free up just from those two players. And then Nico Batum's deal is also a team option for year 2. Okay, now we're talking about $43 million that the Clippers would have. All in all, with some of the other players on there, and this is according to Yossi Goslin, I'll show you guys the tweet. This is kind of a big deal. He said the Clippers kept themselves in a position to create 50 to 60 million in cap room in 2026, despite re-signing James Harden, bringing in Brook Lopez, re-signing Nico Batum. So it looks like instead of everything pointing towards the summer of 2027 for the Clippers, all of a sudden, 2026 could be much more in play than we thought. That is why we're doing Clippers talk tonight. That is what got me off my ass. That lit a fire underneath me. I'm not saying it's a total sound the alarm type of night, but it's not. It's not. This is significant. Unforeseen. Only 13 million. Just over that. Guaranteed to James Harden in the second year of this new deal he got. This is, for a front office that rarely gets the credit they deserve from Clipper Nation, masterful cap room creation, cap navigation. I mean, first of all, Clint Capella goes for 3 years, and we thought, okay, it's $7 million a year, so a little bit less annually, but there's an extra year on there that would take him into 27, 28, while Brook Lopez is on a 2-year deal, so that lines up with the summer of 2027. No, Brook Lopez is a team option after this year, according to Michael Scotto. And I think his information is accurate. James Harden, how much of it was going to be partially guaranteed? Was it going to be 30 million? 25 million? 18 million? Nope. 13.3 million. That's it.
I don't know. What did the numbers say? Shit.
So between those two guys, Nico Batum's contract being a team option for the 26-27 season, that's $42 million right there. You could have available. That's incredible. Timothy is always being a doomer, and that's all he does. And when good things happen for the Clippers, he won't be here to celebrate the divine opportunists.
We are divine opportunists.
To celebrate them getting stronger now.
Getting strong now.
Partially guaranteed contract. My understanding is simple. They have to pay him 13.3 of it, but they could get out of the rest of it, buy him out for the 13.3, and all the rest of that money could be off the books. That's a huge deal. Again, Yossi Goslin said the Clippers kept themselves in a position to create 50 to 60 million in 2026 cap space. The reason for that is I said 42 million just going off the 3 players of James Harden, Lopez, and Nico Batum. But you got to also understand Norman Powell right now is only on the books for this next season at $20 million. So that would put him, I said 42, now 62. Okay, let's say he re-signs an extension. He's still getting 20 million per year. So he's still on there. It's still 42 million. But there's other guys like Let's see here. Amir Coffey, Kobe Brown could be off of his deal by then. That is a team option. That would save them money. This is substantial. This is quite the windfall for the Clippers. This is a really, when people said team-friendly deal with James Harden, people laughed. I was like, what do you mean team-friendly? It's $40 million. That second year is partially guaranteed. And they said, you literally said players don't hit free agency anymore and they sign new contract. But for example, Luka is probably going to resign with the Lakers this summer. I didn't say every player doesn't hit free agency. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth, Timothy. It's very simple. I said the elite of the elite superstars, I do not believe are going to be hitting free agency anymore. I said that for 2 months. And what happened? SGA got his extension already, so he's no longer a free agent in 2027, as I mocked when we brought that up. Like, yeah, he's really going to be a free agent in 2027. He's taking an extension. Same thing's going to happen with Luka, August 2nd. But there's plenty other guys, not of that level, that you can bring in to improve your team. It's just, we don't always have to be doomers. Now, here's a guy that's going to be a restricted free agent. He's probably getting the extension this summer. Paolo Banchero. Mikal Bridges will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. Dyson Daniels will be a restricted free agent. De'Aaron Fox, he's extension eligible, but an unrestricted free agent currently after this year. Let's see. Restricted free agents with Chet, with Jalen Williams after this year. So obviously they'd have an opportunity to match, and they likely will. Anthony Simons will be an unrestricted free agent after this year. Somebody I've been interested in. Austin Reeves, somebody I've given a lot of credit to. He will, if he doesn't get an extension, he doesn't get traded somewhere else, it's very likely he's not taking that player option. He could get an extension, but he's somebody that could be available. Kobe White could be available. Andrew Wiggins could be. Trae Young is the guy we've talked about for a while. He's still extension eligible. They've done a lot of good things in Atlanta. I don't know if he'll be available. Could depend on how this year goes. Or maybe he gets an extension this summer. We shall see. But the Clippers have a lot more optionality than we originally thought. Because then you think about, those are just the guys that you bring in through free agency. What if things go wrong with a player in a certain franchise and you need to absorb some of the contract and you need to be under the salary cap to do so, and you want to bring a big fish in that is no longer happy with his current franchise? This gives you that possibility. I don't want to start naming guys and just, have some rampant conjecture about who they could be. I'm just saying, this is the guide to get to the next guy. These are some of the names that I'm talking about there. Now, the Andrew Wiggins rumor that's going on right now, first he was in talks. There was a rumor that the Lakers were going for him, and they wanted Dalton Connect, a first-round pick, and Rui Hachimura, and Laker fans were laughing at that. Like, yeah, we're not doing that for Andrew Wiggins, and I could see why. What would it take for the Clippers? So, according to the trade machine and some of the things I ran through, I believe Norman Powell and DJ would work. Norman Powell and Dunn would work. I think Bogey and DJ would work. The question is, would you want to do that? I like Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if he could be your starting four right away. And that's what most people are looking for. You're really missing a point of attack guy if you have him in there and you take Dunn out of the starting lineup. Like if the dream is, okay, you get Beal, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but you still need to find that four. I like Andrew Wiggins. He can guard up some when he is putting in maximum effort, like we saw in the 2022 playoff run with the Golden State Warriors. He can be an elite defender. You can argue at times he was the second best player on that team behind Steph during that run. He was so instrumental. He's never become Maple Jordan. That's okay. He became a high-level role player for a championship team. His contract, so he's got, I want to say $28 million this year. Let me see if I'm accurate about that. Yeah, $28 million for this year, and then a player option for $30 million next year. He is 30 years of age, Wiggins. I'd be interested for the right price. I mean, technically, LeBron will be a free agent after this year. They could sign LeBron summer 2026. Who knows? Hey, Bronny had 10 points in 11 minutes today in Summer League. I'm sure he'd have to go wherever his father's going. But, yeah, count me in for somebody interested in Andrew Wiggins for the right price. Would you give up Norman Powell for him? He's got to play the four. He's got to play the four for that to make a lot of sense, I think. Or they'd have to still find a way to bring in another four if he's coming off the bench. But I just think what I saw today with their salary cap situation with 2026 really makes me encouraged about this Clippers future. I love how organized their salary cap is. Not every team can say that. You got teams that are doing stretch provisions where they got $22 million of dead money on the books the next 5 years in the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Phoenix Suns might be in the same spot with Bradley Beal. That's unbelievable. I can't believe Milwaukee did that. I can see their desperation to keep Giannis, to make him happy. I don't know if Miles Turner is the solution there. I don't think that puts them into being a top 3 team or anything like that in the Eastern Conference. But man, you could be a much worse spot, especially considering the lack of picks the Clippers have had, obviously. The way they have tamed this new CBA with some real brilliance and mastery of the salary cap, and including this summer now with Brook Lopez being on a team option for year 2, that is a huge win. And James Harden partially guaranteed $13.3 million on the player option for year 2. That is a big, massive deal that should not be overlooked. Give L. Frank, Trent Redden, Mark Hughes, the front office, a lot of love. Monty McNair. I just, yeah, 2026. Look, maybe it doesn't amount to much. Maybe they don't go out there and make a big splash, but at least you have the opportunity now too in 2026. When we didn't think that was the case before. We thought, we got 2 gap years to wait it out. We're just running out the clock till we get all our draft picks back. No, this Clippers team could be reloading much faster than we thought. Because think of this. I know a lot of you guys don't like LaMelo Ball, polarizing. We'll see how things go for the Charlotte Hornets. But they brought in some guard help. That was a little bit curious. And they got one more season now with LaMelo coming up. He's Still got 4 more years on his contract, including this year, for $37 million. Let's say he's relatively healthy. They get a decent look at what he's like next to this young team, and they say we want to go in a different direction. Well, now the Clippers are in a better spot to make that move and absorb that contract if they have more room under the cap. It just makes everything more possible, more real, much more realistic of a situation. It gives you that optionality that everybody is looking for. Adam Richard in here. Thinks he's in that M. Night Shyamalan movie. I hate that we are old. On the beach. I think it was called Old. We too old. Getting younger is great, but getting better is the goal. Getting younger is cool. Getting better is more important. So many people hating on the Brook Lopez move, I think, have really overlooked just how good this guy has been as of late. Brook Lopez is just 2 years removed from being second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. To get him for $9 million is impressive. To get him before the Lakers could is impressive. It was said there was a bit of a tug of war, an arms race. When I said there would be for them, people joked like, oh, really, an arms race for Brook Lopez? Hey, Brook Lopez is a good player. Whether you want to call him the Brookie Monster or Brolo or Splash Mountain. Guy born in North Hollywood. Big fan of Disneyland. He was Ivica Zubac's vet with the Lakers back in the day. He was coached by Lawrence Frank in the league. And he can shoot threes and protect the rim. In fact, Lawrence Frank came out today as the signing became official. And I should read the statement on Brook Lopez, which I think I got in my email here. Get to it that way. For immediate release, Lawrence Frank said this, quote, Brook is an elite rim protector and range shooter who will bring a different dimension to our front court. He also is a former champion and a genuine pro who will be a great addition to our group. I think people are underestimating how important this move was. It is a position of need, obviously, as the Clippers for the last 3 years haven't had a true backup center you could rely on. But this is more than that. This is, if Zoo gets banged up, he needs to rest a little bit. Cool. Brook Lopez has been playing starting center minutes the last 2 years, his entire career. But even while he's gotten up there in age, the minutes are still there. Playing 32 minutes a night just last year. He can slide in and easily be their starting center. Should that situation arise, hopefully Big Zoo's okay, but he's been an Iron Man. The other side of being an Iron Man is, it puts a lot of wear and tear in your body when you're not missing games ever, like Ivica Zubac. Just be nice for him to get a little bit of a break, maybe here and there. You guys love the Brolo nickname? 877-520-1150 if you want to get on. 877-520-1150. I like the Brookie Monster. Me want cookie. I heard he went vegetarian. Is that true? It's probably like a decade ago. But all the intangibles with him just being a great teammate, championship pedigree, worked with Ivica Zubac before, has a relationship with Lawrence Frank. It's unbelievable. But most importantly, it's about performance. And having a guy who can pick and pop out there. You haven't had anybody like that. Serge Ibaka, unfortunately, had the bad back by the time he got to the Clippers. I wonder, because he was a late bloomer with his outside shooting, kind of adapted to the modern game as he got older. He was in his late 20s when he started to take three-pointers. Pizza Zubats has really nice touch. I know he started off slow at the free throw line last year, but eventually got it together. Could Brook Lopez show him the ways of the three-point shot? That'd be great. Brook Lopez waited till he was 28 to start really taking three-pointers. Ivica Zubats is now 28. It was his 28th birthday season during the 2016-2017 year with Brooklyn, where all of a sudden he took 387 three-pointers, shot 35%. Next year, another 300 threes, 35%. Next year, 500 threes, 37%. I don't know why the Lakers let him go the first time. We kind of had a down year. That was right before LeBron James came. Oh, they were in turmoil. Magic Johnson was saying, I'm not going to be here. Yeah, they were going through a lot of changes. He slipped through the cracks, I guess. And then LeBron came that summer of 2028 as I waited for him at that Blaze Pizza to no avail. Never showed up after that cryptic tweet with the eyeballs, like he was going to show up that day to a pizza place that I think he's part owner of. Splash Mountain. Who started Brolo? Punk said, I started Brolo. You got proof of that? You started the Brolo nickname? I mean, good on you, if it's true. It's one of the better nicknames out there. Some are saying we don't want LaMelo. Who's we? Who's we? Like, I'm just reading the situation there in Charlotte with the Hornets. They got some guards. They brought in some guys. And what if they eventually want to move on from him? They don't see a path for him. It's not working still. He's stunting the growth of other guys there. Keep your options open. Keep your eyes on a player like that. Garrett said, if Brook can teach Zoo how to be a 37% three-point shooter on 5 attempts a night like him, it would turn Zoo into the GOAT. Jokic with better defense. That's who Zoo would be, I guess.
It can always be worse.
I don't want his defense to get any worse. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, they've been hating on his three-point shooting, but I think it's there deep down.
Being a hater.
They've been hating on it. They've been hating on Big Zoo and his three-point shooting. We saw it at the end of the 2021 season against that game against Houston. I think they may have not tried that hard to win in late in the season. Hit that three-pointer, started, maintained his Iron Man streak, hit the three, immediately subbed out. They ran a play to him. They ran a play right off the bat. Alex Webb said, I'd take Melo right off the bat. See, we want Melo. Don't listen to him. So that's why we don't want Melo. Luis, we don't want you to speak for all of us. I'd take Melo for the right price. They did just add a lot of guards onto the roster. It's just a little bit curious. Charlotte Hornets offseason moves. I need to see this. Is there a way that Melo ends up getting squeezed out? It doesn't fit the timeline anymore, you know? It could happen. I've seen it before. Well, they brought in Colin Sexton. He's not necessarily a point guard. He's kind of a combo guy. Spencer Dinwiddie's in there now. They brought back Trey Mann. So not necessarily point guards, like traditional point guard type guys, but yeah, it's just a situation worth monitoring. Is that wrong? Punk's Gone Wrong said, I never heard Brolo before, and I just said it. All right, we'll get into CP3 in a little bit here, Fahad. Thank you for the super chat. They are, as always, appreciated. Garrett's in here. High-level Clippers talk analysis analyst. Yes. A little scrambled today. Garrett said Clips signing Beal would have to be compounded with a Norm trade, right? Because honestly, Norm is better than Beal, but Beal on a minimum plus a 4 over Norm at $20 million. Honestly, I don't know if that's true. We can start to get into it. I don't know if Norm is necessarily better than Beal. I think you guys that are saying Norm is better than Beal are just looking at traditional box score too much. Norm cannot do what Bradley Beal can on ball. He does not have a handle like Beal. He can't create for others like Bradley Beal. He can't create for himself like Bradley Beal. Norm is very dependent on others getting him the basketball in the right spots. Bradley Beal has more wiggle, has an ability to be a self-creator much more than Norm Powell. I love Norm. This is not a knock. I don't even want to see Norm leave. Just his name keeps coming up because the contract extension. But you got to understand, Bradley Beal has averaged almost 7 assists per game before. Like Norm is objectively a bad passer. He is. It's not just Beal and a power forward will be better than Norm. Beal straight up probably is better than Norm when you account for everything I just mentioned. Because he isn't waiting for others on just catch and shoot type of three-pointers. There's nothing wrong with that. You need guys like that. Obviously, Bradley Beal, I thought he should have been an all-star with the first half of the season he had. But he was redundant, yes, in Phoenix. Duplicative, I think, is the word people like to use with the NBA now. They had too much crossover between skill sets with him and Booker and KD. Garrett said, Brad is a better creator, playmaker, and defender. That's it. Norm is better at shooting off the ball and has been more durable. I think it's close enough, though, that Beal on a minimum is better. Beal's a better creator, playmaker, and defender, yet you were saying Norm is better. I'm not even sure. Is Norm a better catch and shoot guy than Bradley Beal? Maybe. Like Bradley Beal, he's better off the bounce with three-pointers, which are tougher shots. The last 2 seasons, he shot 39% from three, 43% from three the year before that. That's more Norm's range, his first year with Phoenix. He has been more injury prone. We're talking about last 5 years for Bradley Beal. 60 games. Still in Washington. 2021 year. 40 games. Still in Washington. Now, in those 60 games, he was getting 31 points a game. Next year, 40 games. 23 points a game. Last year in Washington, 50 games. 23 points a game. First year in Phoenix, 18 points a game. 53 games played. Last year, 53 games played in Phoenix. Phoenix has been a mess the last 2 years. I think Bradley Beal is better than how he has played, and the numbers are still pretty good. Yeah, he can bring the ball up. He has much more on-ball juice. He's more dynamic of a scorer than Norm Powell. Norm can work just fine, obviously, because the ball is in James Harden's hands so much that it doesn't require somebody else to have to do a lot of on-ball creation for themselves or for others. But if we want James Harden not to have to do as much of that because it's so damn taxing, somebody like Bradley Beal could help in that area. Can do a lot of what Norm does, and then more of that stuff to alleviate the burden from James. Miles Johnson said Beal would be the perfect backcourt partner offensively for Harden. Used to playing off ball, but has real on ball juice, which he can tap into when called upon. Yeah, I don't think, I know we love Norm, but I don't think he's a better player than Bradley Beal. So the news on Bradley Beal is he is actively exploring his options with other teams in anticipation of a Suns buyout. There's a rumor. Now he's owed $110 million over the next 2 years. I thought I saw, let me see if I can find this. Yes. This was from Gerald Bourget, lead Suns writer for PHNX_sports for Phoenix Sports. And he's got a co-host, credit to his name too, on a podcast. He said, with a Bradley Beal buyout becoming imminent, per a source, I'm anticipating he gives up $13.9 million of his remaining $110.8 million. So we're talking about he ends up with $96 million on the buyout, which would then clear the way for the Suns to waive and stretch the resulting $96.9 million over 5 years and duck both tax aprons. That is rough, man. They're going to end up paying a guy $20 million a year not to be there with the waive and stretch, just like Milwaukee did. Oof. Just dead money. But if it gets you under the tax, maybe it's worth it. And he goes on to say, as someone said, can you explain what a wave and stretch is or looks like? I'm very confused. Gerald said, if Beal gives up $13.9 million, the Suns take the remaining $96.9 million and spread it out over the next 5 years, so about $19.4 million a year in dead money. He's free to sign with another team, and his cap hit for the Suns this year drops from $53.7 million to $19.4 million, which is how Phoenix ducks the aprons. Remember, they were under aprons, plural. They were over the first and second apron. Metal Slug does bring up this. Norm already knows the Clippers culture. Something about Beal rubs me the wrong way. I mean, some have questioned his competitiveness. Does he want to win? Does he just want to get his money? IZO said Bradley Beal is an exceptional scorer. His points went down along with his attempts, but his efficiency was still good overall. Yeah, he was still good in Phoenix. Just didn't play enough, and the fit wasn't great. ET, as my co-pilot said, there is also a reason why the team that signed him to that deal sent him packing, and the team currently employed. Well, yeah, the contract would be the reason. And with that out of the way, because he's being bought out, the next team is not going to have to worry about the contract. The contract was the reason. Make no mistake, making over $50 million. And he's not a $50 million player. He's not a number one option on a championship team. Could be a number 3, maybe. Someone said Norm's a specialist. Someone said Norm's 2024 year is more consistent than what I have seen from Beal in his career, in my opinion. Well, then you haven't watched Beal much. He has had a year playing 77 games, getting 23 points per game. A year playing 82 games, 23 points per game. This is like all post John Wall no longer being, I mean, some of it's post John Wall no longer being the guy. A year playing 82 games where he averaged 26 points per game. So back-to-back All-Star games. He had back-to-back years averaging over 30 points per game. You haven't watched. I'm sorry. I'm not calling you a casual Bermuda, but from what you have seen with Beal's career, well, okay. Those who have watched know. Dita Mari said, bro, Norm dead literally had a perfect situation going for him this year while Beal had to play with 2 people that does the same thing he does. Fit matters, circumstances matter. Noah said, did we talk about Anthony Simons for Norm? That idea I've seen floated recently. It makes much more sense to do it now that he's a Celtic because both teams would win that trade, in my opinion. Why would the Celtics do it? You're saying Norm makes less and they just want to shed salary. I think they're back over the apron right now, the second apron. I think with Norm making about 20 million, can they trade for Anthony Simons, who makes, I think, 26? And the Boston Celtics would be 27 and a half. Can they get to a point where they're saving, let's say, $5 million? Norm and somebody else for Anthony Simons. Maybe that makes sense. Garrett said Norm had a better season than Brad last year, no debate. Beal, though, was in a rough spot with Phoenix where he wasn't wanted, and I think he could really thrive here. I like it a lot, honestly. Really talked yourself into it since saying Norm was better. Hotline Bling is a good song, said, we want Beal to take a Norm role. He's just too good. ET is my co-pilot, said, just telling you guys, I'm in Phoenix, and there are legit reasons why they want him gone. He may get fixed in LA, but it's wishful thinking. I think most of this is about the contract. I do. And that's mitigated when all of a sudden he's only being paid. There's two deals the Clippers could offer Bradley Beal. The 5.3 left on the mid-level exception they have after paying Brook Lopez, easy for me to say. There's still $5.3 million left they could use to pay Bradley Beal, or the veterans minimum for about 3.3. Now, if he's getting bought out and losing $14 million to be bought out, he may want to make that up, kind of like DeAndre Ayton did. He almost made up losing $10 million. He got about a little over $8 from the Lakers back. So he lost about $1.5 million, but he got bought out and got to a better team. Hotline Bling said, Beal don't play. I do agree with that. Eduardo said, how would you pitch the Clippers to Beal? Some are saying Beal not serious, just wants to secure the bag. Although that part is over for him. He has secured the bag. that bag ain't going anywhere. Now he may lose 14 million of it. I would say, I mean, you take, well, he's getting split up into about 20 million per year, but invest. The team's interested in Bradley Beal. According to Evan Sittery, who is an NBA contributor for Forbes, Evan said, Bucks, Clippers, Heat, Lakers, Nuggets. The Bucks have an obvious need with Damian Lillard out. The Heat, I guess they just need more scoring overall. The Lakers, I don't know. They need another wing or two badly. If you can get him for the minimum, nobody's complaining. The Denver Nuggets, they could use him and he might like them because the position they're in. But a contender will be looking his way. And if that's what he's looking for, there are some teams that can match that for him. Just trying to make sure I haven't missed anything regarding Bradley Beal. Look, this is a real flamethrower at times. A guy who can score at all levels. The issue with Bradley Beal is having that big of a contract and really that small of a role next to two other guys that do what he did better in Phoenix. So it kind of exposed him a little bit. Darrow said, I think adding Beal does lower our chances at a power forward. Not if he signs for the minimum or even for the 5.3, because then you still have trade assets with Norm and maybe Kobe Brown or Bogey. Yeah, paying $20 million in dead money till 2029 for Bradley Beal. That is tough. That was a trade that never made much sense. It just from a basketball fit, money wise, Phoenix was going for it. The CBA changed quickly and it kind of bit them in the ass. And not no kinda about it. Um Mudir said Beal is going to a team which can play him a lot of minutes. Clips not getting him unless they trade Powell. Well, I don't think they would be getting him unless they're trading Powell. I think that's if Bradley Beal is coming, I think it would indicate that yes, Powell or Bogey, one of those two guys is definitely getting moved. You can't have all three of them on your team. Someone said we would never get Wizards Beal. That Beal is long gone. Okay. The Beal the last 2 years is still very good, but you got to take into account only playing 50 games. He was going neck and neck with Curry for the scoring title one year, probably when he was averaging 31. Efficiently. Yeah, he was like that. That Beal, no, he's not there. And doing that in the East too, Noah said the Celtics do it for a salary dump and also hope that Jason Tatum can come back. Norm is more on Tatum's timeline than Simmons is, but Norm has an expiring contract just like Anthony Simons does. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Salary dump, Norm's an expiring contract just like Simons. They already have the salary dump built in. They're both expirings. So why exactly are the Boston Celtics doing it unless they get a little bit of salary relief out of it because Norm makes a little bit less? Hotline Bling says Beal needs a real center and now would have two. X-Mongo Project said, guys, the idea is not we are replacing Beal with Norm, but that Norm hopefully can get us a player in a position of need while being able to replace him with a buyout player like Beal. That is exactly the idea. And then people bring up John Collins again. Okay. Or Andrew Wiggins. So they get one of those two guys by using Norm, and they get Bradley Beal out of good fortune because he has to get out of Phoenix, and they can pick him up on the cheap. Problem is, a lot of teams can be vying for his services. Why would he accept a buyout to make less money? That's not Beal. Because he wants to play and go somewhere else, even if he loses out on $14 million. If he gets $5 million from the Clippers, okay, so now he's lost out on $9 million. But he gets to a better situation, and it's still an S ton of money, a one big pile of S type of money, like the clip from Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park from earlier. Like, come on. That's why. Timothy said, I think he joins the Heat. He wanted to go there. I've seen people talk about that. Yeah, this is a good point from Mudir. The only advantage the Clippers have is that Phoenix, where his family lives, is close to LA. They apparently like it in Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't like Beal in Phoenix. Yes, they can offer more than the minimum. I brought this up. They could offer $5.3 million that they have left on the full mid-level because they didn't use all of it to give to Brook Lopez. Metal Slug said, okay, Beal over Melo, sure. Those two players have nothing to do with one another. I don't think it's one or the other in that situation. Hotline Blank said, if Beal was here, Kawhi would magically be hurt. Then Kawhi comes back, Beal hurt. Okay, we're dooming already. Bermuda said, I don't really think we need Beal. We have Harden and Kawhi. Thinking out loud, in my opinion, Chris Paul would work along with two solid power forwards and a center. Two solid power forwards. Apparently, we're just swimming in power forwards now. They're everywhere. They got a glut of them, a surplus on the Clippers. Generational Hater said, why y'all need another power forward? Y'all got Batum. That's not much hate. I like that.
Being a hater.
Generational Hater. Okay, but somebody brought up CP3. Miles Johnson's bringing it up too. I'll play the audio for you. I'm sure you want to hear it. Chris Paul, I don't know if this is him putting pressure on somebody to pick him up, but he made the announcement that this is with Jameel Hill. I'm not sure the event or the show, but this was earlier today. If you're wondering, how much longer does CP3 have in the league?
Though you are playing at a high level, that you're in the twilight of your NBA career.
Yeah.
So how much longer do you intend to play?
At the most, a year. I just finished my 20th season, which is a blessing in itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, you.
Okay. There's part one. This is it for CP3. His last year. But there was more to this. You know what? Joey Lynn had it, and I retweeted it earlier. I can just go to my own account here, Adam. Not that hard. So where's he going to end his career? Since this is his last year.
And so the plan is to play.
The plan is to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, many people are quite aware of the fact that you just happen to be really good friends with LeBron James. The Lakers maybe could need a point guard. I know they got Luka, but I'm just saying, you live in Los Angeles. I'm connecting some dots here.
I do. My wife and my kids are in LA, and I say this just about every time I talk, but the past 6 seasons, I've played in where I was in Oklahoma first, then Phoenix for 3 years, Golden State for a year, and then San Antonio last year. My wife and my kids have been in LA all 6 of those years. So that's tough. I love to play basketball, but I love my kids and my family more. So that is going to weigh a huge part on my decision on what happens next year.
Paging Rob Pelinka, paging Rob Pelinka. And so the plan is to play.
That annoys me much more than it should. That's your update on CP3. Some are saying he's too old. Okay. He also played every game last year. He was still productive with the San Antonio Spurs. And it is a position of need, I think, for the Clippers. Keep talking about it. Take the burden, the stress of having to do so much off the shoulders of James Harden when it comes to running the offense. Now, some of that will be alleviated just by having Kawhi Leonard, presumably, to start the season. That will help. That will bring down the usage rating. But CP3, coming off a year where he averaged 9 points, my God, 7 assists in 28 minutes per game. He's still a pick and roll god. He can still shoot it. Shot 38% from 3 last year with San Antonio and played all 82 games. The year before that, 58. The year before that, 59. The year before, 65, 70, 70. I don't know. He's playing 82 games this year, but he's been averaging more games played than Bradley Beal still. So how you guys feel about it? Would you want that reunion with CP3? Even though, yes, he's old. Even though, yes, they brought in Brook Lopez, who's older, but still productive. Did bringing in Brook Lopez create less of a chance of bringing in Chris Paul just because they bring in one old guy this summer? Can they, I don't know, look at like, hey, if we can't do this again, we can't bring in 2 guys this old. I was thinking by Chris Paul saying this today, maybe he was trying to put pressure on the LA teams to bring him in. You get his farewell tour. You get more butts in the seats. I know it's not, they don't love you like that, as Draymond said to Paul Pierce before. They don't love you like Kobe getting that farewell tour. They don't love you like that. It ain't going to be like that. But last chance to see CP3, that's not nothing. The point guard. And if he's back with the Clippers, I mean, that's who we all think of him as. That's who I think a lot of people think of Chris Paul as. The end of his career, he was a Clipper. He had his best years with the Clippers. He was the lead guy. Playoff LAC said, does Jeremy Grant still have trade value, or will he be bought out? He still has trade value. Jeremy Grant. Now, last year, everybody was saying trade for Jeremy Grant before the season started. And then, he had one bad game against the Clippers. I think he was 3 of 13 or something. And then they said nothing else about him the rest of the year. He's making $32 million at the age of 31. Next year, he's making 34 at 32. Then he has a player option for 36 at the age of 33. But they could still move him. I don't think this whole buyout stretch and wave thing that's going on, the new wave, I don't think it's going to be going on forever. Some unique situations with Dame and Bradley Beal. Vegas worldwide. Don't even bring that up, man. I was so annoyed that my guy posted that earlier today. Stop the misinformation. Generational Haters said DFS plus Capella for Norman Powell plus picks. Well, this is stupid. Houston just brought those guys in. No, they're not doing that. They got KD, man. And the Clippers don't need Capella now. They got Brook Lopez. And Capella just signed a 3-year deal. They don't want guys that long of a deal. What are you talking about? Miles Johnson said he wants to be a Clipper so badly. You think he's angling to be a Clipper? By putting this out there today, this is it, guys. It's last chance to get me. Last year, be a nice little story arc. Comes back to the Clippers for his final season. Family's in LA. Noah said he's going to be a great president one day. ET is my co-pilot said, let him sign with the Lakers. Wow. That's some hate.
Being a hater.
Metal Slug said Capella already going to Houston. Thank you. Hotline Bling said they got the second round pick. The Spurs were bad. They got the second pick in the draft. The Spurs were bad. Wemby, I don't know if you noticed this, but Wemby went out with blood clots. De'Aaron Fox went and got surgery. I don't think they're going to be so bad this year, my guy. I think they're, at worst, going to be a play-in team. Garrett said, unfortunately, I don't think it's happening. Maybe Clips are monitoring the Beal situation before they do it, but feels like it would have happened by now. If he still wants to start, there's no way. Yeah, that's a report out there that CP3 still wants to start. If that's the situation, I don't see that happening in the Clippers backcourt. Maybe I'm wrong, but him and James Harden in the starting backcourt like it's 2017 again, 2018. I don't know if that's happening. He starts for just the first 5 minutes of the game, just say he's a starter. First 3 minutes of the game. I don't know. I don't love that idea. That Mexican Nara said, I like CP3, but wonder with his fit with a stretch big like Lopez. It'd be great. Are you kidding me? CP3 with a pick and pop guy, you can make that work all day. That is the least of my concerns. Venkata said, there was this mock I saw on Twitter where Quentin Grimes, John Collins, and Jabari Walker land with the Clippers, Powell, Bogey, Kobe Brown, and KJ Martin to the 76ers, and then Eric Gordon and PG, and the 2028 first of the Jazz. Cool. Let me know when it happens. Amin said, when you all say that Harden has to carry a lot, I kind of disagree, as Harden likes to play the hard way. I'm not saying Harden is complaining about it, but I think it's too much at times. I think it's too high of a usage. I think it's too many touches to his own detriment of having the basketball in his hands. It would be great if Harden will play more off ball. Maybe I'm dreaming. We talked about it when he first came in, when they still had Paul George, they still had Russ. How are we going to do this? Harden can take more catch and shoot threes. He just doesn't like to do it. He's not used to it. It's not what he does well. I'm just saying, take his minutes down. He can play the same way, but you got to take his minutes down some. But the only way you can take his minutes down some and not get killed is if you got an adequate, competent replacement. Hotline Blank said CP3 is a third string. Amin said Harden likes to play the ball dominant style. He does. We're well aware. Timothy said, didn't a reporter come out and say that CP3 wants a starting role? Yes. I think it was Jake L. Fisher. Playoff LAC said Clippers should have jumped on Jabari Walker. Miles Johnson said my biggest reason to sign CP would be he could single-handedly eradicate our turnover issues. Yeah. Takes care of the basketball. It's at the end of a game against the OKC Thunder in 2014. Sorry. Flashbacks. 877-520-1150, 877-520-1150, if you guys want to get on. Someone just said yes. Someone just said yes. Two people said yes. What was my question? I'm a little bit tired. Generational haters said Harden plus CP3 won 65 games together. What year is this? Robin Williams says in Jumanji. Yeah, 8 years ago, man. Someone said this is not 2020. Ezio said, is CP3 signs with the Lakers and we get Beal? Do we give Beal the number 3? That's a good question. Shar said, probably can't afford CP3. I'm just hoping for campaign or a better one. I think they can afford him. It's do they want him? The reason this hasn't happened yet, and I heard the Lob the Jam, the podcast earlier with Lucas Han and Robert Flom kind of spitballed this earlier, and I think they're right. I think teams are waiting to see what happens with Bradley Beal. And then you'll see DeAnthony Melton, CP3, Malcolm Brogdon. Then you'll see landing spots for them. I think teams are waiting to see what the best guy left in free agency or who's about to be a free agent, where he goes. That's the first domino to fall here. Garrett said, I'll puke if I see him in a Lakers jersey. Also, Luka, Reeves, LeBron, and Chris Paul would reach all-time antics and complaining to refs levels. Generational haters said Chris Paul is an all-time great. He will get a farewell video from a lot of teams he played on. No doubt. Hotline Bling said we went from LaMelo Ball to Chris Paul. If they say he's still got 3 years left. I think that was okay. Maybe those yeses were in response to who was I looking up? Jeremy Grant from Portland earlier. Yeah, he's still got 3 years left. Louise said CP comes back and Clippers will retire his jersey. They're retiring his jersey at some point, no matter what, I think. Dad M said Vegas worldwide is a bum.
Being a hater.
All right. Rasmel said if he had leverage, he would have never went to San Antonio. I think he wanted to go there, kind of. Playoff LAC said Beal actually hasn't been that bad. He just didn't have a role and wasn't healthy. I would rather have him over Paul. I think he's objectively a better player than Chris Paul at this point. Is Chris Paul a better fit if he's taking that backup point guard role? Maybe, but if you're talking about bringing in Beal because he's the replacement for Norm, because you're going to use Norm to go out there and get a power forward or somebody else, that makes the most sense. That's ideal, probably. Not that it's ideal to trade Norm Powell. I don't want to see Norm Powell go, but I do think he's going to get paid, and I don't know if the Clippers are the team for that. Now, who has the money to pay him right now is a good question. Does he have to wait till next summer? Hotline Bling said, nah, I'm riding with the Spurs, but last year they were bad with CP3 starting 82 games. They're young, and they had a bunch of injuries. They weren't bad because of CP3. Generational hater said Harden plus CP3 plus Capella record together. Okay, Capella's not coming, man. I'm so newsflash. Capella signed a 3-year deal in Houston. We got to let that go. That's over. Clippers got Brook Lopez. I think they got the better of those two big men. Amin said, Adam, what seed do you see the Spurs with Fox and Wemby back? I'll say they're still young. They still have got Harper's son in there, Stephon Castle, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan. I'll say like 8th or 9th in the West if they can stay healthy. Mostly said I prefer Brogdon over CP. Malcolm Brogdon has just been so injured. I like his game a lot. Now, some of the games missed, I think, last season were just because the Washington Wizards weren't trying to win, but he only played 24 games. The year before that, 39. Year before that, 67. Year before that, 36. 3 of the last 4 years, Malcolm Brogdon has played less than 40 games. If they get him, though, I won't hate it. Fit-wise, he's good. They almost had him before. They kind of did for a second. Harden is the system. I am the danger. Isaiah said every player wants to play every minute of the game. Harden wants to play because he loves the game, but sometimes we have to force him to rest and not gas him out. And the best way to do that, it's also up to Coach Lou too, obviously. You got to give him an option, a real option. Then I think you'll see Harden getting more rest. That Mexican Nara said if he wants a starting role, he won't find it in LA. About Chris Paul, generational hater. Okay, I can't. Generational hater is a lover of those Houston Rockets teams with Harden and CP3.
Being a hater.
He's obsessed. Middle Slug said, if we want CP3, we said yes. Himothy said, no significant traction on the Jonathan Kuminga front over the weekend. Per sources, restricted free agency around the NBA remains ice cold. Per sources. Oh, this has come from Anthony Slater. Y'all know how I feel about Jonathan Kuminga over here on Kuminga Island. Wilson. Metal Slug. Baby 3. What is CP3? Bradley Beal 3. Amin Sean said, Adam, do you think the Sixers can make the conference finals? I do. After what we saw from B.J. Edgewood last night, they actually have some good young players with McCain and obviously Maxey. It's just, can Paul George and Embiid play 65 games? Luis said, let's get DJ 2 and Jamal Crawford. CP3 face. Not that funny, bro. Amin said, I'm still sold on the no. Well, here's the thing. If you missed the beginning of the show, you can always rewind. Garrett said, if nothing else, the Chris Paul move would be elite vibes. The first time he checks in an Intuit Dome would give me goosebumps. Helps also, still a good player. Yeah. It's sentimental. Warms the heart. The cockles of the heart. It would. I'd love to see CP3 back. I think, of course, talent, performance, that has to outweigh everything else. Noah said, if the plan is to retire his jersey and he's about to retire in a year, I bet Beal doesn't get 3. Metal Slug said, also have Blake Griffin come out of retirement and stop making those Wayfair commercials. Someone said the F is Wayfair. That Mexican Nara said yes to the Beal acquisition and use Norman's contract to get a power forward. Who? John Collins. Okay, if they haven't gotten John Collins by now, guys, I don't know if it's happening. I don't know. If no team is trading for John Collins and there isn't that much interest, maybe it's our evaluation is off of him. Ryan said, you talking sign and trade with Norm for who? I wasn't talking about that at all. But he did say, Ryan Dodd, yes, CP3 for sure, no doubt. Great backup point guard. David Gibson said, just like I predicted before, I did say that during 2026 we could get a big name free agent. Playoff LAC. Caleb Houston is an unrestricted free agent. Should we sign him? I don't know what's going to happen over the next few weeks. I think Caleb Houston, I mean, he's young, played at Michigan. I'm interested in the Summer League coming up later. I think Friday night, we got a Summer League game. Anders said, could definitely do worse. I was hoping they might get Schroeder, but not for $15 million a year. Yeah. Bermuda saying, can't wait for the 2026 season. Come on. Let's not just skip an entire season ahead. Remember, people were trying to skip ahead from last season, and last season turned out to be overall pretty damn exciting, pretty fun basketball, pretty memorable year. Yes, disappointing first round, but there were 6 months of basketball before that. We were pretty locked in and talking about how much they're overachieving and how fun it was. See a team play defense like that. Best defensive Clippers team. Luis said Norm for Miles Bridges. I don't think Charlotte would do that. Old Dirty Dasher said CP3 will end up on the Lakers. Hotline Bling said if CP3 is here, it will be a lot of unwanted attention. Really? Ex-Mongo Project said, and I thought we've seen the last of Clipper killer Jonas Valanciunas. It looks like they're really trying to get him back. Make sure he doesn't leave and go play in Greece. They want him to honor his contract because they made the trade for him with Dario Saric. They want him playing in Denver. Jonas Valanciunas, I guess they've been after him for a while. So this is nothing new here. They finally got him, and he's leaving the country. Oh no, Clips Gang TV. That's not Hayden, it's the truth. CP3 does not get along with Harden. The trade is still a possibility because CP3 wants to start. They've been getting along for years now. That I haven't heard anyone say that's an issue anymore at this point, but I'm not surprised Clips Gang TV is trying to slander Harden since that's all he does in here. And is close to getting not just a timeout, expelled. Ryan Dodd said, Norm, Kobe Brown, and a couple of seconds for John Collins if we get Beal. It's possible. I think technically, trade machine wise, I don't know if the Clippers would do it. Ryan Dodd said, we need to retire Blake's jersey. When can that happen? Maybe this year. David Gibson said, we're going to get someone, and I do think we will get a big name. Talking about 2026. What about LaMelo? We talked about him earlier. Amin said, what's the obsession with John Collins? I know, guys. What is this obsession? What's the deal with John Collins? Now, I get it to an extent. And I don't hate the idea. Garrett said, yeah, I think if Collins was a thing, it would have happened. Maybe they wait to see if they get Beal as a replacement for Norm before moving off him, because it sounds like Collins has no market. Like, if he has no market, but Clippers fans are obsessed with him, what does that say about their analysis of him? Like, what are we overvaluing John Collins maybe a little bit? I don't know. Amin said, not going to lie, I've hated De'Aaron Fox a lot ever since that double overtime loss to the Kings, the 176-175 game. Second highest scoring game ever. And that's also why I hate losing to the Kings. I just brought up De'Aaron Fox with the Spurs. David Gibson said they need to sign Chris Boucher. It's not because you have your own opinions, because you have an agenda. I don't like agendas in here, and all you do as a Kawhi stan is try to go after Harden. It's annoying. Stans are annoying. This is what you do. You have a long history of this in here, and I think on Locked On and everywhere else. Shout out Dime Chopper. All right. Do I have anything else to get to here? You know what? I may do something I shouldn't. Once again, I don't know if I should do this, but I think I have to check out what's going on Clippers Reddit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
That's my intro to Clippers Reddit. All right, let's start with this. I'll share the screen with you guys. People are hating on Dalton Connect, and maybe I was last night too. The title is Makes Me Happy to See Connect Get Dog Walked in a Summer League. Lakers fans swear he's this huge asset, but the dude just went 0 of 9 on threes, 5 of 20 on field goals, and was playing scrubs. LMAO. Now, I did say yesterday in a tweet, what channel is Connect getting cooked on? Because everybody kept talking about Dalton Connect and how bad he was playing in a summer league game. I don't think we should get off on the misery of a young player who I think is still just 23 or 24 years of age. I know he's an older second-year guy, and he was, yes, traded to Charlotte, and people are talking about that in here. Green said they almost shipped him to Charlotte, and he got pulled out the rotation when Luka came over. His confidence has to be really low. I think that's a big part of it. Dude can play too. I wonder how much the inconsistency in minutes hurt his development. I think that's fair. And they also shopped him all damn summer with nobody wanting him. Dude will be in the G League or 14th man off the bench. He's just like our shooters, either lights out or a guy that looks lost. Difference is our guys can play defense while Connect is a cone. Clippers Reddit. Hating on Dalton Connect.
You'll never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
All right. Here's somebody on Clippers Reddit saying in a post titled, I'm going to say it. Norman Powell is better than Bradley Beal or John Collins, and we don't need to trade him. He was the best player on this team many games last season. Why does everyone think he has no value? We didn't say that. We went from expected to be the 13th seed to, Norman's doing better production than PG on half the contract. Our team will be better this year. We need his shooting. Okay. Someone responded saying Norm was carrying before his injury. After that, he never got his groove back. I hope he can stay healthy all year. Someone else said he had very little time to get his groove back. That's why. Then they had to figure out how to play with Kawhi, which takes some time. Someone said that's been the norm for Norm his whole career. Injuries always take him out of a rhythm. This is fair. When he first came over to the Clippers and 3 games in and broke his foot or whatever. Someone said, I don't think you're looking at it the right way. It's not that simple. So if you compare Norm to Beal just as players, while I think most people would agree that it is at least debatable, I'm fine with you saying Norm is better. However, and this is the biggest part, if Beal gets bought out and we get him on the very cheap, then the contract to player skill value ratio becomes X times better for Beal. Further, this allows for a new starting worthy power forward by trading Norm. So here's the end result. Replace Norm with Beal, very minor drop off of any, get a new starting power forward, better than any power forward on our team. Kawhi slides a small forward, his true position, and leagues better than any of small forwards on our team. The net is a massive, massive improvement overall for the team if the front office pulls all that off and gets a pretty decent power forward, somewhat comparable to what Norm is for a shooting guard. Maybe they need to package Norm with someone or something. A second? Yeah, that's kind of been the logic from everyone. Clippers Reddit. Gotta give him credit for that. That's what everyone's thinking. Someone else said if he doesn't get back to the way he was before the injury, then they got to trade him before his value goes down. Someone astutely points out at that point his value would already be down. Shit, it might be down as of right now. Maybe they need to let him cook a little first. Alex25 said he definitely carried all year, but not going to lie, I would rather have Beal and trade Norm for a John Collins type. It's always John Collins. You got to make sacrifices, and I don't even think that's really a sacrifice. Okay. There's your Norman Powell update on Reddit.
We'll never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
So, someone points out the 2 top players in the league contesting shots last season here on Reddit. Clippers now have the top 2 players who had the most contested shots total last season. Brook Lopez led the league with 1,094 contested shots. Ivica Zubac came in second with 801 contested shots. How do you think this will affect our opponents? First response, these 2 should hopefully give Jokic some trouble. I know Big Zoo already does. I have to check on what type of successes Brook Lopez had against Jokic. Since, yes, Jokic is living rent-free. Here's the black man on campus saying, makes me wonder how the minutes will work because Brook dropping down to 20 minutes may not be enough. Could they play together for some minutes too so that Zoo can get his 33 minutes and Lopez gets 25 to 30? Here we go. Someone else responds, maybe Lopez wants to play 20 minutes per game or less, will prolong his career. I think the only way they play together is if the other team also plays 2 7-footers. Else would be way too slow in comparison. And really, most teams who play 2 7-footers have one that is probably pretty athletic and quick for his size, which neither Brook or Zoo are. Good point. Rockets and Spurs are the only teams I see playing lineups with 2 7-footers, maybe the Suns. Someone said, I mean, OKC, debatably Dallas, probably others. If I think about it more, it does seem a bit on trend right now. Cleveland Cavaliers. He's starting out. Okay. But you know what? I have no problem with these comments right here. What else do we got? What else do we got? Clippers Reddit is happening.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
So they're talking about Bradley Beal here as well. This may be the post I saw earlier that offended me. I'll just read it here. This comes from Vegas Worldwide. Clippers are definitely cooking something up. It's been very quiet, a little too quiet, a little too raff. Just heard through chit chat from people who are around the team that there is something brewing. Makes sense because after the Brolo signing, it's been very quiet, and the Clippers still have like $8 million after waiving Eubanks. So why haven't they spent that? It's not quite that, but I'm thinking the fans are going to be getting that power forward they desperately want, or maybe it's a young point guard. There has been some talk about Wiggins coming, but I don't know how that really helps them. Stay tuned. The Clippers are not done yet. First response. Who are these sources? LOL. Someone said his imaginary friends, the voices in his head. Ari Abram. Original post is actually Ari Abrams' burner. Chit chat. LOL. The absence of noise doesn't mean the cook is going to taste good. The meal doesn't guarantee it, but when this team has been quiet, they strike. Okay. Let's see. Anybody else mocking this post? I think they are waiting for CP3 to make his decision or Beal. I think that's possible. The original poster says, from what I heard, Clippers are not interested at all in CP3, and that's all Rumorville stuff. The front office has repeatedly said they want someone who could defend, fit Jeff Van Gundy's style. Paul doesn't match at all. Beal, on the other hand, sure, they're all monitoring it, but they don't have all their chips waiting for him unless they already have a handshake agreement. Someone said apparently they're willing to wait until he makes a decision. Otherwise, they would have signed Brogdon or someone else already. My guess is Paul goes to the Bucks, which would be a blessing in disguise. Original poster. Oh, that's definitely how it is. LOL. Nobody is waiting for a decision for him when they don't want him anyway. All right. Next post.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
On Clippers Reddit. Is Ivica Zubac making the all-time Clippers team already? Okay. First response. I don't think he has passed DJ yet as the second best Clippers center. They're talking about Bill Walton? I mean, that's kind of tough because they're talking about the Candyman. No. Bill Walton was so injury prone. They're counting Bob McAdoo as a center. Swin Nader, Benoit Benjamin, Chris Kaman, DJ Ivica Zubac. I don't think Bob McAdoo would be considered a center. Somebody said, what if Zoo grows a Kaman-like axe murderer haircut? But seriously, Zoo is still too young. He could easily give us 5 or 6 solid years like this one. If he did that, then yeah, I think he'd be the best. Someone else, I don't know. How many people are on the team? How long does Zoo ultimately stay with us? What does he accomplish? Right now, he's probably center on the all-Clipper third team behind Bob McAdoo and DJ, beating out Trez and crippled Bill Walton. R.I.P. Great Bill Walton. This is, all Clippers, all-time Clipper. Well, with their history, unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't take a lot. It really depends on how you rate Bill Walton. I mean, didn't he end up missing 2 full seasons? Let me see. He was pretty good when he was available, but yeah, he comes over. He doesn't play in 78 to 79. Then he plays 14 games. Then he misses 2 more years, 80, 81, 81, 82. Then he is averaging 14 and 10 and 33 minutes a night in 33 games in 82 and 83. Yeah, it's just unfortunately it's an all-time great player whose injury history and body betrayed him at the NBA level, even though won that ring in Portland, dominated, looked like the best player in the game. All right, there you have it. Clippers Reddit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Appreciate everybody contributing there. I don't know if there's anything else I need to do here. I know some of you guys were talking about Yabusele, like, why didn't they get Yabusele? They couldn't offer him what he ended up getting from the New York Knicks. They didn't have as much money to offer him. Some are saying bring in Dame. Let him rehab here. Miami and Portland, both looking at Damian Lillard. He could go back to Portland, but he's likely going to be out all of next season. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to look like. Dame has long been my favorite non-Clipper. Not even just because of his play style. I just think he's a badass, and I love his attitude. But he's going to be almost 35 by the end of next season. So 35 coming off an Achilles injury, that's tough to recover from. I don't think he's ever going to be the same, unfortunately. Speaking of injuries cutting a career short, I don't know Dame being that old, having that injury. I don't know how he's ever going to be back as a small guard who relied on quickness. I think Golden State has been rumored for him too. People are still saying, can the Clippers blow it up? That's something I've seen over the past week. Why don't they blow it up? Well, they have zero incentive to do so, guys. They don't own their own draft picks. And they won 50 games last season. And were 2 games behind the team that ended up in the 2 seed. Why would they blow it up? Now, they get into the season. They're 10 games under 500 by the trade deadline or before then. Okay. Maybe then you see a team take a chance on Kawhi Leonard because he's only got a year and a half left on his deal. It's an expiring after this year. Or trade for James Harden. Then you might get something back because they're not taking on as much risk because it's an expiring and a team sees them putting them over the top in contender status. Then it could make more sense. Right now, it doesn't. Kawhi's not getting them that much right now. Neither is James Harden. The future, that could change. Next deadline. If they're healthy and playing well. But if they're healthy and playing well, the Clippers are probably winning games. So, I mean, they just made a move to improve with Brook Lopez. I love seeing that. They're not done yet. They have an argument to be better. If Kawhi Leonard goes into the offseason as he has healthy, he was already working out. Remember, he continued to work out concurrently as the NBA playoffs were going along so he could test his body and see if he could make it through a playoff run. And he made it through fine. It's not the same as playing playoff games, but he did the hard training and kept it going. Kawhi starts the season healthy. If he's looking like a top 5 to 10 player and plays 50 plus games instead of just 37 last season, why can't they win 50 games again? Maybe James Harden takes a real step back. They have other injury issues or something, but there's a chance they could be really good again. A team that could be going for a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Why would you blow that up? Like, you can make that argument. You can say all you want. Well, they're still worse than Houston and Denver and obviously the champs and the OKC Thunder. Okay. Let's see what happens. Play it out. want to quote Will Updike right now and say it could be our year. It's our year or anything like that. But what if they actually got some good fortune and some good luck? What if the basketball gods actually smiled upon them? Make yourself available for that possibility by still being a good team. That's what I would say. I did see this. Kawhi Leonard at the rim in the playoffs in the restricted area. He shot 85%. That was best out of anyone in the playoffs with a minimum of at least 20 field goal attempts. That's a good sign. Kawhi finished really well in the restricted area. And I think, as L. Frank has said, he believes he has another level to get to with putting in the real training this summer. I would like to see how this team can look coming into this year with the moves they're making. And then we go from there. But the whole idea of why aren't they blowing it up? Why aren't they giving up on this era? It is hard to win 50 games in this league. You know how many teams would kill for that? We've gotten a little bit spoiled in some ways. Now, I understand the other side of it. So close, but yet so far. We've been teased. The 2-1-3 era didn't end in a ring. Kawhi still has a chance to make it happen. Is it realistic? I mean, there's 3 teams better than them in the West right now. I think clearly better. On paper. On paper. Denver got better. Houston got a lot better. OKC is getting better internally. But after that, Clippers, Lakers, Minnesota, Dallas, it's kind of up for grabs. That 4 spot is attainable. I do think it's possible to have home court in the first round. That's all I'm saying. So look at it from their perspective a little bit. If you have a realistic chance of getting the 4 spot, even if you acknowledge there's 3 teams better than you, and it doesn't mean they're going to be better in the regular season than you, if you have a chance to have home court in the first round, why on earth would you punt and say, we don't care. That's not good enough. We're giving up on this season, even though we don't have our draft picks, and we're just helping out OKC by being bad. Do I think your main priority should be worrying about OKC and that pick? No, but it's not nothing. I want to see what they do next, and I want to see what happens this week. And I'm going to be watching Summer League, and we'll have a Clippers talk live for you after that game or during that game. And then we'll see what breaks. With CP3, Bradley Beal, who knows, Malcolm Brogdon, Norman Powell stuff. Who knows? Something could break as soon as I go off the air. But we're an hour and 38 minutes in here at Clippers Talk. If you missed the beginning of it, well, the reason I did this show is because the salary cap looks a lot more favorable for the Clippers in 2026 based upon the contracts negotiated by this front office with Brook Lopez and James Harden. We didn't know the details. We got them today. This is a big win for the Clippers. It really is. It's meaningful. So I thought I'd do the show. Plus, I like talking to you guys. Even when some of you are upsetting doomers. All right. Wait, he's finalizing the buyout right now. We got Beal news. Let me see. Don't you be fooling me like this. I'm not seeing any updates on the Beal news, anything we didn't already know. We're expecting the buyout. That's not news. We all know that's coming. News would be, and he's expected to sign with this team. That would be news. Shamshania says that. We're back up here. He didn't say that. All right. I'm Adam Osland. You've been listening to another edition of Clippers Talk.
Off the air.